Center for Spiritual Living with a Spiritual Mind Treatment, and I invite you and me to take a deep breath and let it go. And to move into that awareness that the presence of Spirit is the only reality. God is all there is. No matter what circumstances seem to be happening, God is all there is. And as we open up to that idea, we know that each one of us is a divine manifestation, incarnation, individualization of the divine. Spirit shows up as us. And so this day we embrace that fully, knowing our lives as the spiritual being we were always meant to be. We live our lives in clarity, guided by divine wisdom, manifesting vibrant health and abundant prosperity, relationships that are overflowing with love, intelligence, honesty, integrity, nurturing. And we know that our path is always made clear. The doors are always open. We choose to set our intention clearly as to the life that we live, who we are, and who those around us are. We use this power, we use this law to create heaven on earth for ourselves and everyone else in our world. And so with great gratitude and thanksgiving for this idea, for this existence, for this life that we all have, I simply release this treatment into all that is, because I know that it's all God, it's all good, and together we say, and so it is. Oh, thanks, I needed So come on in if you haven't noticed. There's some caution tape by the front doors. There might be during this class, no, don't touch the doors. You can't touch anything. There might be the forensics department from the city of Asheville showing up to dust for fingerprints. They're probably going to be noisy and distracting. So if that happens, it's okay. I'm just letting you know what's going on. We had visitors last night. And it's interesting. Let me turn my stage lights on. It's interesting because this is where you really get a chance to check out your belief system. I'm always saying that which is yours cannot be taken, that which is not yours you cannot keep. Everything is a divine expression. Everybody's on their perfect and right path, and there's a pony in here somewhere. There's always a blessing. There's always good. So as we were dealing with the police department and taking photos and looking at the abundance of damage upstairs, we were kind of commenting, Nancy and I, back and forth to each other at how calm we were. And how really this is good that yeah, somebody broke in, and so what? You know, somebody found their way to our center through a non-traditional means. And the last time we had a break-in, it was 5 young men that we stopped the break-in in progress. But that's when my dogs were more loose than they are now. They just slept through the whole thing. We stopped the break-in in progress, and it ended up establishing a relationship with these young men. And I believe we had a very positive effect on their lives. So what I'm knowing is that whoever was drawn here, for whatever reason they thought they were drawn, that there's a blessing in here, because everyone who walks in these doors, their lives get better. So no matter how it turns out, I'm knowing and affirming for whoever this person or these people are, that their lives get better and that there is a blessing in here. And I'm so grateful that having our Sunday prosperity acceptance removed from the building is not something that's going to cripple us or intensely damage who we are. And I've known other centers that have had this same experience, and it has been very hard for them to recover. And I'm thinking, wow, hand to mouth, you're a Science of Mind center, and you're living week to week, that's like living paycheck to paycheck. We're supposed to be better than that. We're supposed to have more of a prosperity consciousness than that. So it's just a good affirmation for me to know that we do have that prosperity consciousness. So if you wrote out a check on Sunday, understand that it's probably in a trash can somewhere. You don't have to stop payment on it. Nobody can cash it. The only people that can cash it is this center. But if you would like to write out another check to cover it, we would be very grateful. And this is just life. You know, we had one of our practitioners had their car broken into on Sunday, and what I would like for us all to know is that we're all safe, that we are surrounded by light and love, but I don't want to go into judgment that this is bad or wrong, because nothing is bad or wrong. Everything is good, everything is God, so no matter what happens, it is our job to see the good and the God in it. Not that I want to hang up a shingle and say, come break in here, but I don't want to move in. See how subtle the judgment gets? Just surround us and know that everything's okay. Well, everything is okay. Everything is either always okay or it's not, and there is no middle ground. So I think that it's a time for celebration. Yay, we got broken into. And I claim the good in it. I know that this is a blessing for all concerned, and that we are a half-baked cake, and I'm very interested in the second half of the baking. So is there anything you want to have a question about or comment on, because we haven't been together for the last few weeks? Is there anything in the room that we need to discuss? Hi, Dan. Are you good? Victoria.
Today is our own Nancy Peavy's 69th birthday.
Oh. 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Nancy. Happy birthday to you.
We love you.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Anything else?
Yeah, where are we?
We are starting the practice, and that's what today is going to be about. I have handouts for you. I have taken all of her steps of the treatment and put them on two pieces of paper by the days.
Oh my God.
Because what I want us to do is I want us to practice. So she has a different kind of treatment, although it's all coming to a realization of the presence of Spirit as perfect, whole, and complete in yourself and in the person that you're working for. You need more?
Yeah.
Here's one more. We need a lot more?
The rest of
Yeah,
this, that's a lot, there's a lot.
There's some
Okay.
in there.
Oh, wait a minute.
So has anyone in the room actually been doing her method of treatment? Stephanie has.
I tried.
You're not.
I
Try, don't try.
No try.
I'm trying to get Yoda going on here. Do, don't do. Don't try. So, there was a what?
There was a discovery.
What was your discovery, Lissa?
The discovery is a lot of what she's asking us to do, I've already incorporated into the word.
Right, so you just had difficulty letting go of your 5 signs of mind steps.
Yeah.
You can include them.
Okay, thank
But she has some interesting additions, and I want to go over it, and I want you to know that between now and the end of the class, which is in 3 weeks, the class will end in 3 weeks, and then we are starting on the last Tuesday of the month a metaphysical interpretation of the Bible class, which will include but not be limited to Jack Addington's Hidden Mystery of the Bible book. So if you're looking for books, it's Hidden Mystery of the Bible, and we'll include some Rocco Errico, some George Lamsa, and look at the changes that occurred when Lhamsa retranslated the Nag Hammadi find in Egypt and the Dead Sea Scrolls that were all found, and they were in the original Aramaic. And George Lhamsa grew up where Jesus grew up and is a Bible scholar and speaks Aramaic. So he found some very fascinating discrepancies when he went back to translate it one time. Keeping in mind that a lot of it wasn't written down for 300 years, so figure that out. But we're gonna look at that, and we're gonna grab some different Bible things, and then the Tuesday morning class will be over. It will be May, and one of the big reasons I did this was because of weather. So we'll go back to Monday night class, and then we'll kick into the summer prosperity class and all of that. So you've got finishing this up, and we are going to practice. And then moving into Metaphysical Bible for 5 weeks, I think it is, and have an opportunity to explore some of the esoteric meanings of the stories in the Bible instead of the exoteric, which is the outer. Which is why Jesus kept saying, for him who has ears to hear, you know, if you can't get the meaning here, then you have no ears and you're not listening, because there's a whole different reality going on. So that's going to be fun, but I want to go over this 6-day treatment process with you so that you can see what she's asking you for. Susan.
Where in the book are we?
Practice, part 2.
Part 2.
What's the name of that?
Hidden Mystery of the Bible, and it's around. I know that we've got, I think, 20 of them coming from divorce, so they'll be here, and you can find them used on Amazon, that kind of thing. Addington. Jack Addington. And it's just an easy book. You know, I like everybody in my classes to feel really smart. That's the point. So it's an easy book, you really get it. It's like up on the mountaintop is up in consciousness, down in the valley is low in consciousness. That kind of thing. And she talks about learning how to interpret the Bible intuitively yourself and really trusting what you get when you read the Bible. Did you get to that part of the book? Yeah. Okay, so day 1, consecrate yourself. What is that?
Blessing.
Bless yourself. How many of you are doing the repeating the one quality 7 times? Yes, the meditation that she's given us. A couple of you.
God is all there is.
Just a quality, yeah, God is all there is. And then when you get distracted, which we always do, you say it 7 times again and then kind of let yourself go. And what she's doing is developing your intuition by allowing you to focus on something, but then to let yourself go, but then to notice if you're making a grocery list, you've gone in the wrong direction. That's not your intuition. And so you bring yourself back and let yourself go. Focus and release, focus and release. And things that come up for you can be very enlightening, very revealing. You can go far places with that spiritually by focusing on oneness or beauty, or at springtime focus on life, that kind of thing. Has anyone had those kinds of experiences in doing that? Because last time I talked to you, everybody was going to do that process, remember? But that was a long time ago. There are no limitations, David.
Yeah, so I did it for 2 weeks, because that's, and then when the class was put off, I said I'm gonna do it for 2 weeks, and I did stop. So interestingly enough, I found myself, after saying it 7 times, and giving myself 20 minutes, that was from 20 to 30 minutes. And I'm not used to doing meditations. I would drift off so often that I found that I was saying it 7 times again and again and
You
again.
would drift off where?
Other thoughts.
Yeah, well, you can have other
Miraculous or whatever.
as long as it's in alignment.
It wasn't.
Okay.
What I did was I created a method for myself myself to stay on track, and that had to do with the breathing. So I would do the 7, and then I would take 3 deep breaths, and I found that I was able to get into a calm place, and then they stayed, let's stay with it.
Good.
But I had to do that.
And I'm bringing this up because I want you to know what the feeling is that you want to have with this idea of consecrate yourself. It's not just blessing yourself and then going off and making your grocery list. So that's why I was saying, are you doing the meditation? Do you know what that feeling is when you are feeling your oneness? You know, it would be like the first 2 steps of treatment where you're recognizing the presence of the divine and you're knowing that that is what you are. It's not a cerebral thing. It's not just saying, well, I know that I'm blessed because I'm a part of all that is. It's really opening yourself up to that state of consciousness that is going to allow you to move into an awareness of the presence of the divine as that other person. And these are very much for someone else you're doing this. So how are we with that? Do you know where you want to go with this very, very first step of consecrating yourself? Oh, no. What did you ask me? I don't even know what the question is. How am I supposed to answer? Jenny?
Well, one of the things I found extraordinarily helpful was concentrating on love, because as I'm reading and thinking about what she's saying, love heals everything. And I knew I needed to go much deeper than what I had. And I feel as if it's deeper, but it hasn't clarified mentally. And I just presume that more practice is going to help a lot, which I have often resisted in the past. But practice, I know, works.
Great. So your focus is love, to open up to a deeper experience of love.
Yes.
And that is where you want to go before you are working with someone else.
That's right.
Great, great, that's wonderful. Because love is a healing power.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much a healing power. And how in the world can you see God in someone, know this truth about someone, if you don't hold them in high regard? You know, if you're thinking, you dirty, rotten, rack and fratchet, you know, you deserve everything that you get. That kind of thing is not going to put you in a healing mode. So love is excellent to do that. Lisa.
I didn't understand your question before, and I have been practicing the meditation bit, and decided that for me, to make it compatible with the meditation practice I have, I chose love, peace, and joy. And what I found was, at first I was doing that, oh, here come the thoughts, but then I allowed the thoughts to come and recognized that if I was doing love, what was coming to me were places where I, in fact, could look at to see how I could be more loving.
Oh, great, great. That's in alignment with love. That's not making a grocery list.
No.
Yes. And what she says is that you're opening up to your intuition and you're allowing your thoughts to come that are going to carry you down the path of that one quality. And, you know, we all have a lot of stuff in there, so our stuff may look really different. And that's okay as long as we're moving forward to a greater experience of love or a greater sense of peace or wholeness or something like that. Good, Lisa. Stephanie.
Well, this was great. What happened was it's been a long time since I've had a whole month where I felt attacked. Like I call them ego attacks. And so one of my response, which I feel is really helpful, because if I can experience, when I'm experiencing that, then it's that contrast between when I'm not feeling attacked, when I'm feeling very at one, and then when I'm feeling not that. So my mantra this month was, this is an opportunity. And I could focus over and over again, regardless of attack or not. It's like irrelevant. This is,
Good, you took the charge off of it.
yeah,
Good
this
for
is,
you, yeah, we're being attacked, so what, let's move on.
I can practice with attack.
Yeah, they broke in, so what, let's move on. We got places to go here, we got work to do here. Good. So I'm loving the conversation because I want you all to start to get a sense of where you want to go in this first step of consecration. And blessing yourself, knowing that you are one with all, moving into a deep level of awareness of love, having peace, love, and joy, having a sense of oneness, whatever it is for you. These are just words. I want you to get somewhere before you start this. You are embarking upon a holy act, and I mean holy, H-O-L-Y, in that languaging. You are touching God to God. And in that touch, there is health and wholeness. When we can go there with someone, then their lives change as well as ours. And this is great. You know, this, did I tell you that I found a reference to her in the original textbook? Lesson 3 is all about healing, and at the end of the lessons in the original textbook, he gives you a reading list. And he very much wanted all of the readers of the original textbook to read primary lessons in healing by Annie Ritz-Mulitz. And so a lot of the healing ideas that we have incorporated into science of mind, at least at some part, had its basis in this. And Ernest studied with Mary Baker Eddy. He got kicked out of Christian Science because he had the nerve to hang up a shingle as a practitioner without Mary Baker Eddy's blessing. And that's one reason we're not Christian Science. Okay, consecrate yourself. And I would recommend that you don't rush through this. This process with someone else can be very, very healing and blessing to you. Every practitioner knows that whatever they treat for someone else, they get. Which is why the conversation of malpractice becomes so important. Malpractice being judging and condemning someone else, you get that. Criticizing someone else, you get that. So what we want to do is we want to see the divine in everyone, we want to see the wholeness in everyone, we want to see the upliftment in everyone, and then we get that. So take some time to really feel your connection, the oneness, the love, the joy, before you move on. And then she says to mentally address the patient by name. And Ernest says the whole thing. I found sometimes I don't have my treatment list, and my treatment goes something like, everyone is known in the mind of God, and God knows who this list is about. So she's saying to mentally address the person, and I'm sure that that's more about you than it is them. You want your focus to be specifically for and about this person. And she's saying you're not talking out loud here. These are not out loud treatments. And Ernest didn't do out loud treatments. Maybe when he was in front of an audience he did, or on his radio shows he did. But when he sat with someone and did treatment work for them, he didn't speak out loud. People have said they go in there and they sit down and say, well, what's he doing? Should I say something? Did he fall asleep? What's going on? Then after a while he would say, it is good and very good. Because Ernest didn't have the last 2 steps of treatment, the gratitude and the release. That actually came about, it had something to do with World War II. But we added that, the gratitude and the release. He just did the first 3 steps. The awareness of the presence of the divine, that is what we are, and to focus clearly on that person and their wholeness and their completeness, their health, their prosperity, whatever it was, and then he was done. Katya's nodding, yes. I even knew Ernest Holmes. Very impressed. I brag on you a lot. She says, apply yourself to reassure him mentally that there is nothing to fear. And that goes back to one of her basic premises, that by the time somebody gets to you for treatment work, that whatever has manifested in their lives, often a physical malady, it's based in fear. It's based in fear. So what you want to do is connect with that person and love on them. You know, put your metaphysical arms of love around them, reassure them that everything's going to be all right, that everything is all right, that they're okay. I mean, how many people have manifested something in their body, physical body, or the body of their affairs because they have felt like they're not okay? All of the skeletons in the closet and the effect of traditional religions, that we have a black mark against our soul and that we are born in sin and all of that crap. You know, it manifests as we're not okay, a basic sense of not okayness. And so she's saying, reassure that person. And she uses the language that you're a child of God, that everything is fine, that you're made out of love, and that your body is perfect, that everything is working out perfectly, whatever kind of languaging you want to use. And remember, we're not being so rigid, about it's got to always be positive, it's got to always be in the here and now. This class is giving you some leeway to do some denials, to do a little bit of futuring, you know, just to wrap your head around it so that you can go where you want to go. Tell him the truth about God and himself. So what would you mentally tell someone who has come to you for treatment in terms of the truth about God and that person?
We are one.
We are one. What else?
God is all good.
God is all good.
And so are you.
And so are you. So there's not this anthropomorphic deity out to get you. You don't have the devil on your back, that kind of thing. What else?
Health, prosperity, abundance.
Health and
are
prosperity
each of us.
and abundance. Yes, yes.
Love.
Love. She loves this idea that you're a child of God. So if we wanted to go down that path of being a child of God, what do you get if you are a child of something or someone?
You're nurtured.
You're nurtured. What else?
Love.
You're loved. What else?
Protected.
You're protected. What else?
Guided.
You're guided. What else?
You're a part of God.
You're a part of God. What? Heredity. Yes, you've got God's genes. I don't need the blue ones. You've got God's genes. And what happens when that parent passes on? What usually happens to the children? They have an inheritance. You know, there's some good ideas here when we can go to this child of God thing. You are a daughter and a son of the Most High, and you have inherited all of the riches of life through God the Father. I mean, if I could use those words, that's what I would use. You have the genes of God. You have perfect health and wholeness embedded in every cell of your body. You go back to some of the parables of Jesus when he said, if your child asks for a piece of bread, would you give them a rock or a snake or whatever it was? I said, no, that's ridiculous. So whatever you ask for, you have all of creation there, loving you, nurturing you, protecting you, watching out for you, wanting to give to you. So of course you're going to receive that. And you're giving all that conversation, which on one level, beyond the physical, is being received by that person, but you're also getting that. That come on, we're safe, we're loved, we're wonderful beings. And one of the things about the dualistic language that I've kind of missed over the years is it's not all on us. And when we think about what we consider to be us as our personality and conscious awareness, it's not all on us. There is such a greater us than we realize ourselves to be. There is that higher power. There is that greater something. I've often looked at, there's the future Barbara that's already worked this out, that's actually coming back in time to help me through whatever experience I find myself in. Isn't that a wonderful idea? That if you want to translate it to a parental deity, that there is that in life which is looking out for you, working on your behalf, bringing things together to support specifically you. It's not that you have to make it happen. Does that make sense? So you want to talk to that person inside of your own head and tell them the truth about who they are. You're wonderful. You're fantastic. You're amazing. And anyone who has done any treatment work with someone else, you know that that energy gets into you. that someone thinking those things about you can get into you. Can't you tell when someone's dissing you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, they don't have to say a word. So-and-so's mad at me. Well, how can you tell that? I just know, I can feel it. So if the opposite happens, then you can feel that too. Oh, everything's gonna work out. I don't know how it's gonna work out, but it's gonna work out because I'm deeply loved. And I'm in my perfect and right place, and everything is fine, and there's a blessing in here, and only good can come from this, and I'm just gonna relax instead of freaking out. What a great idea. Because you can feel that energy from someone. And then she says, make such denials and affirmations as are appropriate to the case, meaning sickness has no presence and no power in your life. There is no unhappiness, there is only joy, there is no poverty. There is only abundance and prosperity. So whatever denials, and notice she says denials and affirmations. Don't just hang out in denials. Move it into the affirmation. But go ahead and give yourself some permission to explore what are some of the blocks that you might have. There's no such thing as a flu bug. There are no germs. There's only the health and wholeness of the divine. God doesn't get sick. And that's what you are, so you don't get sick. You're fine. Everything's fine. Just relax. That kind of thing. So you can give yourself an opportunity to convince yourself. And that's what Ernest talks about as argumentative treatment, where when you can't just go, God is, I am, and so it is, and be done, then you gotta work on yourself. Wait a minute. Is this a problem? Everybody else would say it was a problem. Don't you think it was a problem to have your stuff damaged? Don't you feel violated? No, there's not a problem here because I don't live in the world of problems. I live in the world of solutions. And no, I don't feel violated because nothing that is good can ever be violated by anyone or anything. There is only good. Oh, right, I remember. God is in the midst of everything. Everything is a blessing. There's only love. We stand as a shining light into the mountains of truth and clarity of consciousness. And of course someone would be attracted to that. You work yourself into it. You process yourself. Denials and affirmations. Get yourself where you want to go. Don't expect yourself just to make the quantum leap from, oh, this is awful, this is terrible, this is a problem, to because if it happens, great. But if you don't make that quantum leap, then you're making yourself wrong, you've disconnected, and you're not doing anybody any good at that moment. So give yourself the time to work yourself through it. Oh, I got fired, I got left, I didn't get the contract. Well, okay, well, I have a right to my feelings. Well, you do have a right to your feelings, but if those feelings are going to create what you don't want anymore, you may want to rethink that, whether or not that right to feel what you want to feel is really going to be helpful, or can you get a hold of yourself and say, you know, it's only bankruptcy, it's only a contract. I remember once, this someone in this center who was diagnosed with cancer with a 5% survival rate. And she said the thing that really helped her was when she came to see me and she had decided to take the chemotherapy. And I said, it's only chemo. And she said that was her mantra over the next number of months, was that it was only chemo. She said that really helped her. So what do you think is such a big problem? It's only cancer. It's only chemo. It's only a break-in. It's only a contract. It's only a job. It's only a relationship. It's only a body. You know, we are so much more than any of that, and when we can rise up in consciousness into that greater state of awareness, then we can shift those things that are simply reflecting what we're thinking and believing at this moment. So, make such denials and affirmations as are appropriate to the case. In a 6-day course of treatment, the first day you deny the belief in an evil inheritance and the reality and power of sensual desires and carnal appetites. Now remember, we talked about this. There's nothing wrong with sensual desires unless they rule you. And what she's calling carnal appetites are not sexual desires, because she speaks positively of that. She's saying that when it is ruling you, or if what I'm reading into this is, if that person has some deep-seated guilt about who they are or what has happened to them. You know, Louise Hay said that her big healing came from the cancer that she got. It was vaginal cancer, and she said, well, of course I was raped as a child, of course I would manifest that as vaginal cancer. And so that's when, through Science of Mind, she had her big healing and breakthrough of that. Actually, I think that was further in her career she had that, because she was saying, oh, come on, I've been doing all this work, and now I've got cancer, how is that possible? And she talked to one of the Science of Mind ministers, and they said, I don't think that you've done all this work to die of cancer now. You know, and she didn't. So what she did is she went into some of those guilty places and that shame place, and she did some healing work and some release work on there, that it had no power over her, and her body naturally healed itself. So as you're doing this stuff, you may have some thoughts that come up, and that's what the meditation is about, staying in line with the quality of spirit and letting your intuition kind of guide your thought. You may have some thoughts come up, and instead of going, oh, that's terrible, I'm so off track, that may be an area that you need to do some work with. That you are safe, you are loved, you are held in the arms of the divine, all is well around you, that kind of thing. So when she says sensual desires and carnal appetites, please don't translate that to mean that we can't have fun anymore. That's not what she's saying. And you affirm the truth about the divine inheritance and the pure and holy origin and desires. It says and desires, I would change that to of desires. In these older books, I found that that their editing was not that great, because it was all done, you know, by hand. So there is a pure and holy origin of our desires. So instead of saying this is bad and low, this is high and good. I mean, chocolate cake has got to be a spiritual experience. And if you're shoveling it in your mouth feeling bad about it, that is the lower kind of experience, which will probably end up making you sick. So what you want to do is whatever you're doing to raise the vibration of it and to raise the experience of it so that it becomes a holy act. And then she says, close with invoking a benediction upon yourself, the patient, and your word of truth. So before we get into the Bible, you're going to bless what has just happened. You're going to bless yourself. You're going to bless whoever it is you're working with, and you're going to know that your truth, that your word has done something, that your word has power. And so she quotes the Bible and says, like, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper the thing whereto I sent it. So, you know, it's saying, hey, I'm hot stuff, I'm God, you're God, I spoke my God word, and stuff is happening now. So on the future ones, I said, close with invoking a benediction upon yourself, the patient, and your word of truth, as is recommended above, or of your own choosing. So if you like the Isaiah quote, great. If you don't have to use it. So that's the first day. You're establishing a sense of connectedness. You're denying whatever it is that is not true. You are affirming the truth. You are blessing. You are raising. You are connecting. You are assuring. You are loving. Doesn't that sound wonderful? What a wonderful space to be in with someone else. Now you go to day 2. And I made the differences in them a little bit bigger so you can pick them out, because you may be in a bit of a deep meditation and all of a sudden you need to know, oh, wait a minute, what's happening today? So the second day is that of freedom. Now, if someone, let's say someone comes to you and asks you to treat them, they've got something that they want treated, and that would be a kind of bondage of them. They're sick, they want something not to be, they want something to be, you know, that kind of thing, that's a bondage. So what you're going to know is freedom, that they are free. So she's got the same kind of thing. Consecrate yourself, mentally address the patient by name, apply yourself to reassure him mentally that there's nothing to fear, tell him the truth about God and himself, make such denials and affirmations as are appropriate to the case. On the second day, you deny the claims of the laws of matter, the influences of evil, and the mesmerisms of personality. What would be a mesmerism of personality? Keep in mind, this is old language, and they understood that back then.
I'm not good enough.
I'm not good enough. What about when your father told you or your mother told you that you're never going to amount to anything, that you're no good? When that first husband left you and said, nobody will ever love you, or when the second person, the husband that you left, or whatever, all the people in your life that may have imprinted a negative experience on you can be called the mesmerisms of personality. I love old-timey language. And affirm man's freedom because he is spirit, mind, and governed only by the law of God the good. So again, you're going to deny anything that is in bondage or limiting or personality imprinted on the psyche. And you're going to affirm that this person is free. Why are you free? Because you are God's own. You know, you want to go back to the child of God? You're a child of God. A child of God. You are precious. You are holy. You are spirit. And you are only governed by the laws of God. We do that when we walk on fire. We deny the laws of matter. You know, that fire is at 1,400 degrees when we walk on it. That is the temperature that they melt the metal for your engine block for your car. And we walk on it. We deny the laws of matter, and we affirm the presence of spirit, and walk on fire. Now, we don't talk about it like that, but that's exactly what we're doing. If you walk on fire, you get a little card that says, I walk on fire, I can do anything. The laws of matter don't affect me. The economy doesn't affect me. This diagnosis doesn't affect me. My childhood doesn't affect me. This person doesn't affect me. I am God. I am spirit. That's what we do. So this is what you are doing for that other person. Close with invoking a benediction upon yourself, the patient, and your word of truth, as is recommended above or of your own choosing. That's day 2. Day 3, you're moving into the omnipotence of love. And that the only thing that changes is the 5th step. Continually realize the divine character and man's unity within. Remember, it is what you realize that counts. That's why it doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you are realizing love. I don't care if you have to talk yourself into forgiving everyone who's ever done anything wrong with you. You've got to move into a realization of love. I don't care if you have to think about puppies and kittens. You're going to move into a realization of love, and that's what you're going to do. Why? Because a realization of love heals. A realization of love heals. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to have a connection with this person and have a realization of love, and it's going to affect them. It's very cool. It is. This is cool stuff. And then I don't want to set yourself up I don't want to set you up for this, but this is what she says happens in day 4. On day 4, they're getting better every day. After an effective treatment against belief in sinning and being sinned against, there follows a mental stage of activity comparable to the effervescence of a liquid wherein an acid and an alkali come together. The patient comes to judgment mentally and physically, and there begins to be a casting out of false conditions and states of mind preparatory to entering the new normal and healthy state of body and thinking. And she says that this might come out through the bowels, or the pores of the skin, something like that. And that the best thing that can happen is that you don't make a big deal out of it. But it is not uncommon when someone is going through a healing that that which is not part of the health and wholeness is released. That's why some people are moving into a greater state of prosperity consciousness, and they quote unquote lose their job. Great, that wasn't your job, that was the poor youth's job. You want the rich youth's job, so let it go. And it's the same thing that's true for physical symptoms. So if you're treating someone and they go call you up and go, oh, I'm so sick, I'm so much worse, this is terrible, you go, great. You're letting go. You're letting it go. Let it out. Just chill out. Stay in bed if you need to. Relax. Know that all is well. Know that you have inherited the genes of God and that you are deeply loved and protected and guided and supported. And all of this is part of your healing process. Just let it go. A detox. Something like that. So she's saying don't be surprised if that happens, but I want to interject, don't make it happen. She said the best way that you go through day 4 is that nobody notices anything. And that's great. She also says that sometimes the release is verbal and that not to be too surprised if they need to confess something. Because if we're holding on to something and it's really embedded in our physical body and it has created disease and we're letting that go, we may need to tell someone what happened to us, what we did, whatever we think is so terrible and awful that we've gotten ourselves sick over it. And so don't be surprised, don't be reactive, just love. Okay? Good. Don't go calling them up on day 4 and say, don't you have something to do? It's short and I like a little drama, and so give me something juicy. Day 5, remember this is a 6-day plan. This is, healing on the fast track here. In the regular order of 6-day course of treatment. This is the 5th stage of unfoldment. Generally an appearance of weakness. Well, I guess if they released all that stuff the day before, they'd be a little weak. An appearance of weakness, weariness, and discouragement, and therefore the special word is that which brings realization of the inner source of strength and knowledge, the inexhaustible supply of life, health, and goodness, the freedom from every burden. So on day 6, you're going to do the same list of process, but you're going to know that they're strong and that they know what to do, and that there's life in them that cannot be denied, and that they're healthy and they're good and they are free, and that there are no burdens, and that they're free, and all of that. You're going to focus on that to give them kind of a boost. This is going to be a pretty big deal, 6 days for this person. They've had, I don't want to call it psychic energy, but they've had energy beyond the physical that has gone to the root problems in their psyche and filled that place up and removed the obstacles to their health, joy, and love, and filled that up with something that is very, very intense. I mean, for us to really get that we are loved, that we are safe, that we are supported, that all is well, that we are free, that all of this story that we've told ourselves consciously and unconsciously for all these years is bogus and it's gone, and that the only reality is that we are a bright and shining light of spirit in the world. For us to get that is a big deal. So you want to give them a little bit of energy boost, and you can handle this. You can handle life working. You can handle being in your joy. It's going to be okay, kind of thing. And really, it can freak people out. I see that here at the center. Somebody's life starts getting really good, and they go, oh, this is too much power for me, and they leave. What I want you to know is that you can handle this. You can handle being happy. You can handle being healthy. You can handle being prosperous. You can handle being in your joy. And you can handle being a point where that moves through you for other people. That's what this teaching is all about. Metaphysics is all about doing it for yourself and doing it for someone else. Doing it for yourself and doing it for someone else. It always was. Emma Curtis Hopkins had 12 lessons, and then you were done. You don't get to work with her anymore, you go out. You go out and heal the world. 12 lessons, that was it.
I hope we can see you after lesson 12.
Yes, you can. You can always see me. In day 6, the last treatment to give a patient is called the spiritual baptism, in which is expressed the patient's complete unity with the good everywhere. It's not a water baptism. You're not dragging people in the river. But what is a baptism? But an acknowledgement of the true nature of that being. It's a washing clean of everything that is unlike the pure, perfect spirit that is the truth of them now. So how sweet is that? It's a giant blessing. Most of it consists in affirmations of the presence of good. This last word completes the circle of manifestation. Just as 6 days represent the week of creation, so there are given 6 days treatment corresponding to each day of the week. The crown of creation is the image and likeness of the Creator, which was the crown of creation, right, which was the 6 days' work. So the spiritual baptism is given to the recipient all the most spiritual and healing affirmations that can come into your mind. You just go on like Abraham would call a rampage of appreciation. You go on a rampage of blessing for them. And then you're done. You don't have to start on a Monday. You know, don't think that these are coinciding with days of the week. They're just days. Personally, I like that there's a limit on them, because I find that when we have a time limit, we manage to put whatever it is we need to have done in that time limit. And when it's just, well, sometime in the next, before you die, you'll have this healing. Oh, well, I'm not supposed to have it for another 25 years. I guess I'll just be sick. No, you got 6 days. 6 days to do this. So what I want you to do is take a break now and find someone in this room that you're going to work with for the next 6 days. I want us to do this. So what I definitely want the two of you to do, you're going to talk about what you want the treatment for if you want to, but not a lot. But she says, let the person talk and listen and have a compassionate, loving heart. And sometimes people have to get things out before they can be open to the healing. You really don't need that, but we're doing a little bit different. You can have that time. And I want you definitely to go through the day 1 with each other. Now, if you've got a little bit more time and you want to practice on the other steps, some things like kind of work out in your head what your affirmations of freedom would be, how it sounds when it comes out of your mouth, how did that feel, that kind of thing, then I would rather have you do that than just sit around talking if you're done early. But if you only have time to do the first step, 1 for each other, it's I do it for you and then you do it for me kind of thing, then that's fine. Any questions? Laura?
Is this for a physical issue?
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be. A lot of metaphysics was based on physical healings because allopathic medicine was so awful. I mean, we didn't have antibiotics. People were dropping over dead. That's why people were freaking out about the measles, because we eradicated it. People had polio. People had tuberculosis, and they would die from it. The first thing that Ernest set up with his brother Fenwick in, I think it was Venice, California, was a tuberculosis sanatorium, where people would come in and they would be taken care of, but they would be prayed over. And they were saying, let's heal these people. This is an epidemic. Let's heal people. So it does not have to be a physical issue. It can be anything you want. Any other questions?
So do you want us to do that at the break or after the break?
You're going to use the break time, find your person, get your coffee or your tea or whatever, and do it for the rest of the class until I call you back. Because it takes a while to do this for someone. But by all means, have a break. So how was it? What did you learn? David?
I love being in the zone.
Yes, it's better than any drug. Becca?
This really isn't that too far astray of the 5 steps.
No, it's not that different from a regular 5-step spiritual mind treatment.
Yeah, right in that same, you can take each of these and fit them into one of the 5 categories.
Right. Good. Who had, Laura and then Judith?
I thought it was really fun to just be so in the perfection of Carolani and use the imperfection that she thought was there and being able to just
We are
see.
so amused.
We all feel that imperfection, but to be there in that felt really good and
Right.
to see that true.
Right,
I liked that.
good. Judith?
Yeah, I have to say I was also in the zone here. And it was amazing for me because I have such trouble in my life with distraction. You know, I'm like all over the place, maybe because I'm from Jersey, but,
What?
what did you say? Maybe because I'm from New Jersey. No, I'm just kidding.
excuses anyhow.
Yeah, I know, right? No, but I was really in the zone and I found that it was really, the deeper I got, I mean, it just became natural and it just started flowing and it just, there was like an energy exchange.
Yes, there is a spiritual familiarity. We know who we are and we know what's true.
And I found the words that were coming from me were coming from the source because, you know, all of a sudden it was like, wow.
That was really good. I say that about my talks often. Sandy?
It's interesting, but I'm not surprised. We've been drawn together to do this exercise together, and it's not the first time that we've ended up, hello. So, it's gonna be great, we're both gonna learn and grow.
Good. Carolani and then Kim and then Susan.
Well, Laura said, so we have to do this 5 more days? And I had to laugh, because we get to, yes, but she was being funny about it, but the fact is, it's done.
Yes.
And we get to play and be in the absolute that way, that zone. I mean, who wouldn't? It's gonna be a fun playing in the absolute for the next 5 days, but it's done.
Wonderful. Kimberly?
Absolutely. It was interesting to me, the juxtaposition of when we're each revealing what we want to treat for, whatever we're, because we're even revealing something that we want to treat for, we're in that less than space. And then when we treat to, as you all were saying, recognizing the God being that we are coming through in those words, it is a zone. All of a sudden, that perfection is you speaking through you, and it's just a nice contrast to witness that and witness the power that comes from each of us as we had just seen the less than, and now we're seeing the full expression thereof. So it was quite amazing.
Wonderful. Susan?
There was a similarity when we were talking, so there was a wonderful similarity, but before that, I just felt more trust for Lissa than I even had for myself. And there was an intimacy, and of course, that intimacy and everything else I'm saying. It's just such a powerful
Stephanie, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Sonia. Stephanie and Sonia.
Well, I was wondering afterwards, because the words seem to be, the sincerity and power of the words just got us into the zone immediately. And then as we would go back and forth, we would have more, we would have the intuition for more. And that, it was coming from God, was in this. I was wondering about there's this power without the words. And it's that power that's healing. And so I was just wondering, I'll find out as I go on, sometimes it's just, I don't need any other words, but just acknowledging that this power is really, there's a consciousness of it and it's continuing.
Words take us where there are no words.
Yeah,
So
thank
however
you.
you get there is fine. That's why I don't care how you get there, just get there.
Yeah.
Sonia?
Well, we novices have procedural questions. I feel kind of out of it asking, but days 4, 5, and 6, do we do the
She doesn't say to, but I would.
1 through 5 steps?
I would just do it all and then change it on step 5 every day.
Change it. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
yes,
step
yes,
5 is the
okay.
one that changes. So yes, I would do 1 through 4, whereas you're consecrating yourself, you're reassuring the person, you're telling them all about who they are. Wasn't that cool?
Yes.
Because in
Yes.
spiritual mind treatment, we're not supposed to talk to the person. You never talk to the person. This is not about personality, you know? And yet here with Annie, we get to, in our mind, tell them all these wonderful things about them. And I just found that to be delightful.
And you do that mentally, then you don't even have to.
You don't even have to say it out loud. The other person does not have to be around. You're welcome, I forgot your name. B, oh yeah, B, and then Sue.
Things that Stephanie was actually trying to say also was here being specific about the issue. In any treatment, is it better to be specific or not specific? And
Well,
we were finding that it was sometimes yes, sometimes no.
That's it, sometimes yes, sometimes no. If someone comes to you and they've got a big physical thing, then you're gonna be specific about that it doesn't exist, that there's only health and wholeness for them. Because they're focused on this big physical thing, so you're gonna address that in their consciousness. Or if when you found out about it, you got stuff up about it, you've got to address it in you. And other times, it was Sonia and, what is your name? Gay said, well, can we just not just treat the other person for well-being? Of course. So it can be specific, it can be not specific, whatever it is you intuitively feel needs to happen at the moment. I guess I got everybody. Judith,
One last.
Sue.
I'm just feeling the power of the connection with another person when I take the specific time to go to that place with another person. It is so powerful in that connection that we did vocalize little issues or whatever, but I felt that whatever I said to Sandy, I was also saying to myself.
Exactly.
It was really the same.
Exactly. Good
It's
for
not
you.
because I wasn't listening.
Judith.
One last thing for me is, I found that the deeper I got, and that when we had this energy exchange, I wasn't distracted, and everyone talking around us, it was gone.
Yes.
It became like a pleasant home.
Yes, wonderful. So you are to treat your partner for the next 5 days and follow the steps on the paper, because you're gonna go to freedom tomorrow, and then you're gonna go to love, and certainly when they're saying that the person's gonna be releasing stuff, you don't wanna treat for that, but you want them to know that they're strong, and that they're loved, and they're supported, and they're full of life and all of that. And we'll talk about this next week when we come back, because this is, as you have glimpsed, some very powerful stuff. So you two have a divine destiny, and this is, in my opinion, very holy work, and I'm delighted that you guys went there.
Do you want us to be verbal about these next 5 steps with each each other, like on the phone or together, or?
I don't
do it
care how you
silently?
get there.
Okay.
I want you to get there.
Okay.
She says to do it silently, do it out loud, as is your choice. Do it with the person or do it while they're away. You
Okay.
don't have to talk to them again for next week, but please, if someone, whether it's in this class or anyone, is treating for you and you had a demonstration, please let them know. You know, it's just one of the perks. It's like, Mandy, you moved, you got a house, yay! Okay, take out what you're gonna give. Remember, if you wrote a check out on Sunday, please write it out again. Since the one from Sunday is not here, it is not going to get cashed, you do not have to put a stop payment order against it. It is taken and probably thrown away somewhere, no one can cash that check but us. So it's not like someone can go into the 7-Eleven and cash a check made out to Center for Spiritual Living. Not gonna happen. And if it is, whoever cashed it it's not gonna come back on you. Yes?
If we dropped one off last week, would you go into that deposit?
If you dropped a check off last week, if you wrote a check to David Washington at his concert and made it out to Center for Spiritual Living, those checks were also in the safe. So, any check that's come over since last Tuesday, last Monday or Tuesday was all in the safe, and the checks that were for David's concert that were made out to the center were in the safe, and we didn't write down anybody's names on any of these checks, so we don't know who wrote out what, because that's what happens when you make the deposit, you write down everybody's names, and we had not gotten there yet, so, thank you. I know that God is all there is. I don't care what it looks like. There is a blessing, a love, a light, a presence of spirit. We are God's own. And so everything that happens is a demonstration of that love of the divine to us, through us, as us, is us. All that there is God. And so what I know for each and every one of us is that we experience that health and wholeness, that prosperity, love, and joy of spirit as us and in every area of our lives right here and right now. I know that we are blessed. Blessed in every way, blessed every day. I know that we prosper, that we are in our joy. We are beings of light and love. And so I know that as we give this gift this day, it sets spiritual law in motion, and we reap the harvest. We claim our divine inheritance. We know that we live a rich and blessed life right here and right now. I know that not only are we blessed, but our center is blessed. And every person who walks in the door experiences the blessing of all that we are. Because I know that we come together to make this Center for Spiritual Living Asheville all that it was ever meant to be. It is a place of peace, a beacon of light, a tower of strength, and a fountain of wisdom that touches the lives of all who call it home. And so it is. So it is. So just breathe in this energy. Breathe it in. We are knowers of truth. We are bearers of light. We are the way showers. And so we hold our lights high and we know the truth clearly and we show the way for ourselves, for each other, and for everyone in our world. God is all there is. Spirit is all that there is. The presence and the power of the divine as us come forth into manifestation. We are in the zone, and our lives show it. We continue to grow, our lives get better and better and better, and love and joy and prosperity and health and wholeness are order of the day. So I know that everything in these baskets is blessed, that as we give that which we are, knowers of truth, light bearers, way showers, comes with our giving, filling up this room, this entire center, overflowing. flowing into the lives of anyone who has touched this place. I particularly bless whoever came in last night. I know that their lives are unfolding, that they are loved, that they are blessed, and that they find their way to the light and the love of the presence of Spirit within them. I know that we are blessed. Everyone who has ever been here and everyone yet to come. And so it is.
So it is.
I love you guys. Have a wonderful